to get everyone...
False flag attacks exactly being... Because I don't even know what that means exactly. Like, I know what it means in gangbanging terms.
It's like the bull crap with Las Vegas. You know,
what do you mean?
The mass shooting that they had, and you know, when they supposedly shot all those people.
You don't think those people got shot?
A lot of people say that those were actors.
We, the people, are prepared to take matters into our own hands.
Oh, the storylines, the intrigue. We like a flawed hero.
We
like a flawed hero.
It's one of the two. Either you love the guy or you hate the guy.
I got one foot out the door, I'll tell you that. But
relocated, reassimilated, reinvigorated.
Breathe. Don't panic. All right, we're going. This is live, but it's not really because it's going on the interweb. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This is
from Chicago's South Side.
Hey, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for coming through on this 50th edition, episode number 50 already of From Chicago's South Side podcast. Today's guest, Ian Szekely, claims to be an electronically targeted individual. And if you don't know what that means, we're going to get really into it and explain all the terminology and a lot of the fact, fiction, and mythology behind the electronically targeted community. So I'm going to shut my mouth and we're going to just get right into this two-parter of episode number 50 of From Chicago's South Side. Multiple bombshells are dropped in this. I just want to explain also that his dog was barking in the first few minutes of the episode. Eventually he puts the dog away, so the audio is good. Just bear with us. I mean, you know how it is. I went over to Ian's house and did it, so you can't tell a man what to do with his own dog. Okay? Eventually he did put the dog up though, so the audio gets better. Don't be a douche, or just fast forward to the first 15 minutes if you have a problem with dogs. It's not that bad. So I went over to Ian's house. He had me over. I got to meet his family, and we sat down, and we had a nice long talk. Several bombshells, like I said. So again, we're going to get right into it. Electronically targeted individuals. Keep an open mind. Here's Ian and I's conversation. I'll see you on the other side.
I'm eager to learn. I listened to that whole entire video you sent me.
You know, that's a stereotype that
I know
they've created.
I use comedy as levity sometimes because it's too much for me. I think.
But in the same, dude, like what they're doing by doing that, they're keeping us divided.
Yes, sir.
That's the whole fucking purpose of it.
Yes, sir. It never ends.
Yeah.
Right wing, left wing, conservative, liberal, Trumpers, conservative, black, white. We'll just keep finding. Oh, Apple, Samsung. Like we will keep having things thrown at us, and we don't come up with this shit ourselves. It's kind of thrust upon us societally, and then we pick sides.
We're being brainwashed.
Some of us are.
It's mind control.
I don't think they have me.
No.
I don't think they have me.
But there's certain minds that they can't. In 1987, they did a study, and they said that they needed to get something up in the air that was reflective, so that when they put the frequencies out, that it would, it would reflect and amplify. Now we have chemtrails. They're full of metals. The surface area on the aluminum particles that are in the chemtrails is enormous. So they've got what they wanted up in the air now. But in that study, they said even when they get that shit up in the air, only 70 to 80% of the population can they mind control. So there's 20 to 30% that our brains work in a different fashion that they're not able to use this technology on. I'm thinking there's a possibility that's why they might have, targeted me, because they want to know why. What is different about the way that my brain works that they can't fucking... Dude, I'm telling you, they got people fucking lighting themselves on fire. These people realize what's happening to them. They can't control their own bodily movements. And these people are lighting themselves on fire. Doing crazy shit. They, literally, they're like marionette puppets, dude.
You just blew my fucking mind for the first time. Because what would have to happen to a person to make themselves immolate? Self-immolation, that's insanely brutal.
Complete mind control. They're still inside their head. They realize what's happening. It's one of those deals where you're inside, kind of like a coma type of thing. You're inside, you can hear everything going on, but you can't move. You can't do shit about it. It's the same exact shit. There's a part in your brain, that's part of the fear base of the program. That's why they have you, they keep on pumping you with the fear, because what it does is, when as evolution, as we came along, our brains went into a certain mode of self-survival, self-preservation. How the fuck did we know, hey, don't go stand next to that mammoth? There was something in our brain that developed that said, mammoth, dangerous, bad.
Could be trial and error, too. You saw your grandpa get smushed by an elephant, and then his grandpa did, and then finally somebody went...
But genetically, how does that keep on getting passed down? Because eventually they're not going to go and get smushed, so you won't see it.
Inborn knowledge.
Yes.
Why can a duck swim?
Yes.
When it's born.
Exactly.
Why? Yeah.
It's your subconscious. It's something that's programmed into you. It's the survival mode, self-preservation. Mm-hmm. And we wouldn't be here if not for that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like eating plants, certain plants. Sure, someone had to eat it along the way and find out, oh, well, I shouldn't have done that.
I'm going to die, y'all, so don't eat that.
Yeah, but eventually, that's part of your makeup, it's passed down through your genetics. It's like a fingerprint, and you realize, I shouldn't eat that.
So what we've always responded to with that mechanism is natural stimulus. What you're putting forth is, what if they, air quotes, have found a way to replace natural stimulus, mammoths in plants, and just hack into that mechanism that we all have?
They have.
I'm following you.
Yeah. It's already public knowledge. Bill Clinton apologized for it in 1995 in a bioethics report. He apologized for the MK Ultra program. He apologized to the families that were affected, the cities. They were doing this shit on whole cities. We got 10,000, 12,000 people in our city. It ain't shit for them to fucking put this signal down on us and affect our whole fucking city. Now, think this. If they can affect a whole city the size of Seattle, Washington, they sure the fuck can affect our city.
And I wanted to get into Seattle with you, because I had not heard anything about that Seattle thing until today. That's hard to believe.
They first they take away your financial, they get your family and everyone against you, then they make you homeless. Once you're homeless out on the streets, they snatch you up off the streets and do whatever the fuck. There's people that have ended up in labs down, in these fucking testing facilities and goofy shit with fucking tubes coming out of them. Just goofy shit. Whatever they want to do with you, that's how they get you to the point where you have no one's looking for you.
The disenfranchised.
There you go. They have free reign on you. Exactly.
It's never good to be an outcast in a big society, because who can you fucking turn to?
Exactly.
Who wants to help that guy?
They're doing that shit to me. They killed my grandfather, dude. They killed my grandmother.
How?
And I didn't... He had a pacemaker, for one. See, this is the thing. Their deal is you can't prove it. My grandfather, he was in a rehab facility. He had diabetes. He had to have his big toe removed. He was there for about a month. He was able to walk again. He was happy, chipper, all that kind of shit. The day that he was supposed to come home, they gave him clearance. They ran all the tests. He was great, He had 2 years left on his pacemaker. He was supposed to come home within an hour or two. They rushed him to Payless Hospital, and shortly after that, he had heart failure and he passed. My missus was sitting next to him. She said that he looked over at him and one eye went off to the side and he just passed. So the day he was cleared to come home and he was great, all of a sudden they rush him to the hospital and he dies.
Could it be anything else endogenous, though?
Sure, it could be a case of you're old, but the thing is everything, it's a reoccurring theme.
Your grandmother too, you said?
Same shit.
Pacemaker?
Complete organ failure. Out of left field, nowhere. This is part of the technology.
She's like, I don't feel so good, bring me to the emergency room, and then the next day it's like, whoop.
No, she went in for her normal checkup. Once a month she would see multiple doctors. She had heart issues. She had a heart arrhythmia, murmur. Mm-hmm. She had that for a long time.
So she's always monitoring.
She's always being monitored.
Yeah.
She was great. Organs working perfectly fine. Within fucking 30 days, all of a sudden, every single organ in her body shut down. All of them.
Wow.
It's this technology. They fucking shut her shit down because she's old.
And who can you go to?
And how can you prove it?
So when did you first notice? When was the first inkling you got of this program?
Oh, when they made me notice was in October. They started roasting me. Dude, I was sleeping on that landing right there on a cot.
Just this past October?
This past
1
October.
month ago?
No. 1 year ago.
Okay.
1 year ago. So a little over a year now.
Yeah.
Fucking, dude, they started roasting me, dude. And I'm telling you, like, when they start roasting a person, there's no fucking denying what's happening to you. You know what's happening to you. If you got half a quarter, 10% of your brain working, of what our little bit of percentage is, you realize this shit is not normal. Somebody's you move around and you can tell that someone's projecting this. Some shit's being projected at you.
Are you in pain, you mean?
Oh, dude, you're on fire. Your fucking heart's going like crazy. It feels like you're going to have a heart attack. I was eating fucking aspirin, like, every 6 hours. I was popping aspirin. And I didn't realize at that time it was pointless for me to pop the aspirin because they could kill me anytime they wanted. They were the ones causing the heart murmurs. So they just had me eating aspirin like an asshole. And the aspirin wasn't helping. Technically, it wasn't helping because that was artificially induced, and this technology, the way that it works, they have your vital signs. You got to think this is radar.
Like as if you were hooked up to a monitor in the hospital.
Yes.
Somewhere, someplace.
They can see all your shit flowing through your body. This is radar.
That isn't very far-fetched because just the other night at Thanksgiving dinner, we were passing around my girlfriend's cell phone. And everybody in the family just put their thumb on this little phone, on a little button on the phone, and it tells you your goddamn blood oxygen level.
Yes.
By putting your thumb on the phone, it tells you your blood oxygen level in 10 seconds. So that's just the technology that we have.
Yes.
We're allowed to have.
Yes.
So it stands to reason that, you could monitor somebody's vitals from a remote location, no problem.
Yes. Especially from a satellite. Especially from HARP.
HARP.
DARPA.
What's HARP? You have to go slow for the with the acronyms. You have to explain them.
HARP is basically a gigantic antenna facility. We have there's multiple different places, but the main one is in Alaska. You know how people are talking about weather modification? Mm-hmm. HARP. Okay. DARPA. These are satellites that are sending out frequencies, gigantic, fields of satellites. And they can use those satellites to beam off the atmosphere.
What are the odds that it's a foreign government fucking with you, and then you have also the United States government doing countermeasures?
No. My shit started that I know, when they let me know in October, my whole incident started, I was fucking having problems with AT&T. I was on the phone with the vice president and the president of AT&T, and the vice president, her name was LaTanya Jones. If you look it up now, she mysteriously disappeared, and it looks like she never was the vice president. I actually looked up her address and her phone number and everything. I was going to go and tell her family, hey, you know what she does for a living? She kills people. I'm a victim of it because I was complaining about my bill, and I caught him idling speeds and ripping off the public. There should be no national debt. Within 1 year, everything that we owed at the time shouldn't exist. Just off the money they were stealing from the public. I caught them. I had them on recording, dude. All this shit, I recorded it. They were collecting multiple taxes on the same taxes. And I said to them, how do you think the government would like to, would feel if they found out that you were collecting multiple taxes in their name? Click.
They were double dipping.
Oh, they were way dipping. That's where the fees come up, that you have this, you have that. You sign up for a certain thing, but then you get the bill and it's not what it's supposed to be. That's where that crap comes into play. Mm-hmm. Same as, I had the conversation with them. They said, well, basically they can make up any number that they want and you have to pay it. When they tell you, oh, we're sorry about that, we'll do an adjustment for you. No, that you pay that on the back end. Plus, they don't tell you you only get one adjustment per lifetime per account.
Did you hear about what Chicago offers Amazon to come do their business here? They're going to take the income tax returns and kick it back to Amazon. The employees of Amazon here in Chicago wouldn't get it. This is to attract them to come set up here. So Jeff Bezos gets to keep your income tax.
What?
Yeah, like the first thing that comes to mind is like, how?
How do you just rip people off?
Yeah, like I thought that there was some shit you just couldn't do, but I guess I'm naive. That's why I have this podcast, because I just go around and ask people questions like, I'm stupid. I don't understand. Why can't people just be cool with each other?
They make the rules, and it's whatever they say. That's their attitude, only they do it real slick-like. You know, they want to make you feel comfortable while they're fucking you. You know?
So that's how you're going to get fucked again.
Yeah, you know. I often say, you know, you got to buy me a drink before you fuck me first. You know what I mean? That type of attitude. It's like, sometimes they'll give you a drink, sometimes they'll just outright just say, I'm fucking you.
And we've learned this, like you're talking about, learned behavior through generations. We've gotten to a point where people who are into such things understand that tact and guise and deceit is way more powerful than just blunt force and smash and grab.
Yes.
That if you really, really want to win and you really, really want to take from people, that you have to be the guy in the suit smiling who the idiots all trust. Not just trust, but they think you're the opposite of what you are. This has always been how you get shit, as opposed to just taking it. You can only take and take and take for so long before everybody gets together and goes, fuck this guy. But it's hard to say fuck this guy when you got a nice suit and 90% of the community thinks you're a good dude.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, you have a reputation, the police like you. Then
Maybe-
what?
You know the movie Black Mass?
Johnny Depp
Yes.
as Whitey Bulger, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
In that movie, he's talking to his son at the breakfast table, and his son's being picked on, and he explains to him, he's like, listen, he's like, you know, it's not the problem that you punched the kid. He said, the problem is you punched the kid and you let people see you punch him.
That's it right there.
That's it.
That's how a true criminal mind who's ambitious about actually getting away with it, because a lot of people do wrong and they don't really want to get away with it. They want to get caught, they want to tell on themselves, or they never think it through. But if you have thought it through and you have a plan, then you're probably going to go about it the insidious, tactful
Just
way.
like that. Yeah, just like that. Where it's, you know, no one sees it happening, so it's like your word against theirs, and if, like you said, they're the suit and tie.
But if thugs showed up and hit you in the knee with a baseball bat, somebody gets it on camera,
It's
now
obvious.
you have a case.
Yes.
And now people see your knees bruised up and they really care and they listen to what you have to say. But if it's inside of you and nobody can see bruises,
If they knock on your door and they say, hey,
Who would
can
listen?
I come in for a minute? You know, I just would like to give you this pitch. You know, we have a great offer. And once you let them in the door and the door closes, they do it hidden behind closed doors. And then it's your word against theirs. And,
that is so fucking scary.
dude, imagine right
You're
now,
freaking me
I'm
out.
being hit with this shit, and you can't see it. You could be sitting next to me. Like when I'm sitting cuddling with my girl, even though we're touching, she can't feel it.
She's not affected.
No, we're energy beings. We vibrate.
Right.
Once they get your resonation, which is DNA based, they go through people's garbage. And they'll get something from you, and they got your DNA. Amazon, all these places, you mentioned Amazon, they're one of the major perpetrators that are involved in this. Amazon, Google. These companies are these people. But once they get your DNA, they can resonate you and only you. You could be having intercourse with someone, and they won't even feel it.
That's fucked up.
Yes. My woman said that I was on fire. Like,
Did you ever try to go to a physician and get it measured?
They locked me up. As soon as I said something to them, I went over there and I told them, I said, I believe someone's watching me through my TV. I don't know who it is.
Uh-huh.
You know, I said, something's happening to me. I said, my ear is ringing. You know, like my ears are ringing and I can feel like something's happening to me. I feel like I'm being roasted. You know, fucking put me in a room. They took a CAT scan. This is part of the program. They want to see what part of your brain's being affected. They want to have results. It's like a test. They also want to see what it's doing to you. So they took a CAT scan. They drew some of my blood. I fell asleep for a few hours, which was really strange. Fell asleep. I wake up, and the whole room is full of doctors, physicians, security, and 2 paramedics with a gurney with straps on it. I'm like, what's going on? You know, they're like, well, we're going to take you to get some help. I'm like, well, unless you're going to clean my ear out, because, you know, I had an ear, my ear was clogged up with earwax before. And
You
I
got
had
it drained?
clean.
Hey, but I bet it was gnarly when you saw what they pulled out of your ear.
Oh, dude. I got a chunk of it somewhere around here.
Why?
Because I saved it because
Why?
evidence. They were like, what is this? So when they pulled it out,
It's earwax, though.
No, they didn't even know what it was.
I don't mean to be a dick, but the dog's gonna really fuck with people. Do you think that you can make him stop barking somehow?
Yeah.
Give him a treat or something?
You, come on, upstairs. No.
Because people are gonna be getting into your story and they're gonna be like, that dog keeps barking.
Yeah.
I
Come
can't
on, dude.
focus. And they're not gonna hear what you're saying.
So it's at this point that Ian finally puts his dog away. So get ready to be able to hear every part of the interview clearly from now on. Back to the interview. Enjoy.
Well, we were talking about earwax pretty deep, how you saved it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, because the girl said, she's like, I don't know what this is. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, this isn't earwax, and I don't know what it is.
Do you have any thoughts?
Some kind of shit they put in my head. I don't know.
Oh.
I know that they can use different, there's like alpha waves, beta waves, delta, like different names for these waves. Certain ones, if they hit you with that wave, they can literally put you to sleep. That's how they enter into people's homes. They hit you with the wave, you sleep right through whatever they're doing to you. Everyone that's around you. It's like,
Do you reckon they've been in here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I guarantee you my house is bugged. They're listening. Not only through the TV and normal stuff that they do under the Patriot Act. That box right there, you know, so it said, the box...
Direct TV?
Any box, even the little tiny ones. Those are actually... They can see everything. Those things have echolocation. They can see through your walls. The CIA already had a case where a woman was murdered, and the little black box, they tapped into the box, and they saw the whole murder in live time.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's public record. They gave that information out. If you go to CIA.gov and you look up the monitoring room, all this information's there. They're now releasing this information under the FOIA Act, the Freedom of Information Act. They're allowing people to know about it, and it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it type of attitude.
That's such an interesting angle. Because that's how the way people are is like, I'm going to do nothing about it. I'm going to go back to Twitter.
That's how they create the fear. That's what the false flag attacks are about. They're tests. They're to get everyone...
False flag attacks exactly being... Because I don't even know what that means exactly. Like, I know what it means
False
in
flag,
gangbanging terms.
It's like the bull crap with Las Vegas. You know,
what do you mean?
The mass shooting that they had, and you know, when they supposedly shot all those people.
You don't think those people got shot?
A lot of people say that those were actors. Same as the bullshit that went on with when Trump became president.
Hold on, though. Like, how many... I don't know. Like, I don't know anybody who was there, but...
I imagine
my family's in Vegas.
I imagine some people were killed during that. But what I'm saying is, I bet you the majority of them were actors. They were paid actors. They already did this with the race. Remember the riot when the white powers, they had that big to-do up on the East Coast, and everyone went after Trump.
Yeah, right. Those
that was
Antifa kids.
It was manufactured. It was a way for them to try and get Trump out of office.
So nobody's motives are altruistic. Like the guy who did the shooting in Vegas. This is a pawn?
Yes. He was a gun runner for the CIA. He was connected to one of the Arab Saudi princes or something like that. And supposedly, from what really happened is he went there, He was supposed to do a gun deal. He was supposed to sell some guns. He either worked for the FBI or the CIA, but he was a known gun runner. He went there to meet up with them, and instead they put a bullet in him, set up all the weapons, created the attack, and people, you can look, there's a record of it, people want to know why there was a helicopter flying away during the whole incident. Well, they just so happened to have a landing pad on the roof of that building, so after they did the little shooting and whatnot, they just went up the stairs and jumped in their helicopter and flew off.
Do you think it's possible that was just a VIP, though? Like, who happened to be staying there? It was somebody else? Because I don't know. I don't know where to fall on it myself, but because everything's news. Like, I heard that he gave his girlfriend a bunch of money before he did it, but I don't know that to be true.
Wouldn't that have been reported? Wouldn't they have explained that away, why the helicopter... Who was in the helicopter?
This is the first I'm hearing of the helicopter. See how there's too much. There's too much. There's too fucking much to keep track of it all.
Did you know about the other? There was 7 different places supposedly that had attacks on that night. There was other hotels that people were killed in the hotels. They were legitimately killed.
I've never heard of this.
Yes. See, this is the thing.
Because I have people down there. I have my weed guy who sold me weed when I was down there, and my family lives in North Vegas. And I texted them both, and I was like, tell me everything you know about this. And this is the first I'm hearing about the 7 other incidents.
This is the thing. When they put a person in the program, they show you everything. Because they want you to talk about it so you look like you're crazy. No one else knows this information because they hide it. Zeg TV, hidden from the public. This is a YouTube channel that no one knows about.
But you understand how disinformation works too.
Oh yes, of course.
So that's the tricky part. Is like,
but that's
the one-upsmanship and the levels of like backwards thinking that is involved in trying to figure out what's fake and what's.
Yes.
It becomes very tricky.
They call it psyops. It's an actual term for how they're trying to manipulate you, brainwash you, and confuse you all at the same time.
Inundate you. Get you thinking about too many things. Get you thinking about the wrong things.
Yes. So that you're...
what's your own compass? How do you decide when you're seeing something, a video, or reading a whistleblower's testimony? Because you know that there's people out there who are full of shit, but you also believe what you believe. I'm the same way. Like, I understand that you'll have 2 people saying the same thing. One of them's full of shit, the other one isn't, but they're saying the same thing, right?
See, the thing for me is, if I can find, at least a few other things that tie into it, then it's a possibility. Mm-hmm. I don't usually, I don't base my theories off of just one story. There has to be things that link to it. The more, the better. Obviously, that makes it more solid.
Building your case.
Yeah. It makes it more solid. So if you find a dozen things that are connected to the one statement, chances are it's probably true.
Like, I listened to that entire... there's a YouTube video, but I was driving, so I listened to it. The one you just sent me today. The man who was talking about SIS, that whistleblower. But the problems I had with him, like, he wasn't specific. There were no names, no documents, and that fucks it all up for me. You know what I mean? Because... anybody can make claims, but you gotta cite and point at somebody, or else you're just making claims, right?
The funny thing about that guy is, he came into our community.
Who is that guy, by the way? I never heard his name.
His name is Brian Coffrin, also known as Justin Carter. People in the community, and the targeted individual community, believe that there's a possibility that he's a shill. He's a fake. Someone that they sent. He could be an agent. Or he could work for the security company that he says. Whatever the case is, people believe that he's clearly reading from a script.
Yeah, it was very robotic.
Yes.
And he had long passages of things to say that could never be off the cuff. It's like a comedian rehearsing their act.
Yes. He's reading from a script. What he claims is he's got a new form of the V2K that they're using on him.
V2K.
Which is the voice to God. It's the synthetic telepathy. It's voices in a person's head.
When they talk about voice to skull?
Yes, voice to skull. V2K.
Okay.
It's voices. and they're able to generate. For instance, there was a in the Gulf War. It's a well-known case of this technology being used. Anyone can look it up and reference it. There was an incident where they actually used V2K on Iraqi soldiers and told them it was the voice of Allah, and Allah wanted them to put down their weapons. And these people put their guns down because they actually thought God was speaking to them. But they had used this technology to get them to drop their weapons.
And it's about knowing your target there. Because here in godless, free-for-all America, if a voice tells most people God wants something, we would just ignore that and do what we want anyway. But if you're devoutly religious,
yes,
and everything begins and ends with the will of, in this case, Allah, there's your hack.
They're taking advantage of it. They're taking advantage of people's faith.
Hey, just a real quick break to give thanks to all the people who make this podcast possible. I want to thank Nightclub the Band. I want to thank Andrea Flack for the amazing art. Thanks to the people at Mixed Mental Arts, especially the Emperor, Brian Callen, and especially you, Hunter Motz, for inspiring me. Thank you always to Superfan Giovanni for mentoring me. Let's call it what it is. So I just wanted to say that real quick. Let's get back to my discussion with Ian Szekely.
So it sounds like there's a possibility that because they attack everyone around me. So I'm just forewarning you also, like I told you at the beginning, you too have a choice whether you want to associate with me or not, because from one person, they go after 2.2 million people.
Well, I don't try to be a tough guy or anything, but I do consider myself at least a part-time warrior in the war against, like, lies. And I don't mind putting myself out there. If being your friend is going to get me in trouble, then... Like, here's my whole take on things. Like, okay, you're watching everything I do. Like, you take all my pictures and put them somewhere in a database. Good. Enjoy my dick pics, motherfuckers. You hear that, CIA? Enjoy my dick pics. I'm not going to stop taking them. It's kind of how I want to live my life.
I know people that take pictures of their turds.
I can't get in. Oh, that meme you sent me the other day was out of bounds. I was about to go eat dinner, and I was like, I can't get over this. I need to go watch something else for 2 hours. I can't get over what I just fucking saw.
The gobble gobble?
Yeah, I was like, Ian's not cool anymore.
Someone sent me that, and I was like, oh, that's too much. I'm like, I got to start sending it around to people to see what what their reaction is.
There's all forms of terrorism. You can terrorize somebody.
That's definitely one of them.
But making them have no appetite on Thanksgiving.
They did that shit to me. Sent me, like, I didn't even friend the person. Didn't, put them on my messenger. They hack my accounts. All the shit. They're in everything.
That secret message that we do, the secret conversation.
It doesn't work. They own it.
But I'm just curious on your end. Like, I don't even know how you find that. And it says you keep adding devices to the conversation. What does that mean?
Good question.
And it's black instead of blue, the interface?
If it says keep adding devices, that means that they're trying to remote access and add devices. That doesn't show up for mine.
Yeah, I'll show you after we're done recording.
Yeah.
So I have both of our threads. The private and the regular.
That's part of the remote access. Like, there's some jagoff sitting on the side street right now, I guarantee you, listening to our conversation. I have 24-hour surveillance.
I will say this. I drive by here a lot because I'm always on the road.
And you see it.
I hate to admit this because I like to argue with you. I've never not seen somebody parked in a car on the side there.
Yeah.
Around the corner from your house.
That's them.
I always just tell myself it's coincidence. There's always somebody there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a business area. It's homes. It's a residential area. So what's that?
Yeah.
Does this person who lives around the corner from you always have a guest coming in and out when I drive by?
Exactly. And they're there all hours of the night. All hours.
And you can't tell anybody because they'll try to lock you up. Where did they lock you up? Did they actually take you?
Yeah. They took me to Kendrick Hospital on the north side. It was a psychiatric ward.
Would they do that 10-day hold shit?
They tried to do a 30-day on me, and my ear was so infected, that I told them, like, if I die in here, I've already made my family aware that you're holding me against my will. I need medical treatment, and if you don't release me, it's gonna fall on you if something happens to me.
So just to clarify, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, it's your business, but even something as small as bipolar, you don't feel you're at all mentally ill at all. Like there's nothing there.
Nothing. I've been checked through petty court cases, as we were growing up as kids, little dumb shit, kids.
Did you start a little fire?
No.
I used to start fires.
No, see, you probably got more of an issue than I do.
I definitely probably do. I'm sure that I do.
Yeah, so it's like, no, maybe I got caught with a little alcohol trying to serenade the ladies, something like that, a little bit of weed or something.
Like literally kid shit.
Kid shit.
Shit kids do.
Kid shit. All kid shit. Everything. Kid shit.
And they gave you a psych eval for that?
Yes.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yes, and guess
that's
what?
Pigeonholing.
Yes. They were trying to create something, and every single time passed it with flying colors. They said, "Oh no, you're completely of sound mind." They said, "If anything, you're an asshole." And I said, "Well, I guess I'll accept that if that means that I speak my mind and I don't back down from what's right."
Good news. We got your diagnosis back. He flips through the chart 3 pages.
You're an asshole.
Turns out you have an acute an acute case of you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Do you worry about your children being affected?
They do affect my children.
Are your children aware of this? Do you talk with them openly about it?
I have, but I've stopped because it's not doing any good by telling them. Same as my missus. It's not doing any good because, for one, people are afraid. That's usually the main thing. They just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to know about it because they're in fear that it'll happen to them. And people they don't want to believe it. A lot of people don't want to believe that our government is involved in these crimes. You
can see why, though. You've told me, like, you understand how outlandish it sounds at first.
Yes.
To just normal people.
How do you think I felt?
I have such deep empathy for you. I always think about, like, nobody will listen to this dude.
Yeah.
But there's a community, though, that exists, though.
Yes.
A TI community. I've done a little research, found that out.
There's millions of us.
Anybody around here, like, in a physical way, do you bond to meet up with anybody else who's affected?
I've met one other person in the Chicagoland area, but I'm aware of a handful of people. They keep us hidden from each other, and then they keep us thinking. What they do is they get people like myself to turn into perps. So then they become the gang stalkers and the people that they send to perpetrate on you.
Can you break down the definition of gang stalking? That's a good one. I was going to ask you to do that.
Gang stalking can be many things. It could be crowding in a grocery store. It could be gaslighting. Someone walks up next to you and starts talking about a conversation or personal things that only you would be aware of that they're hinting to. Gang stalking can be literally, stalking. And people need to also remember, we're not talking about, sure, gangs are involved in this. It does come down to a street level. But we're not talking, about gangs per se. We're talking about organized group of covert harassment. People that are driving in their cars. They do a noise campaign. It's part of the MK Ultra. It's part of the stress. They raise the stress levels. So they'll drive around with loud mufflers nonstop.
Just to piss people off.
And the thing is most of the time, only the target, other people do notice, but the target definitely notices while it's happening. People are circling your block like a beehive. And you're like, hey, do you notice that? And people just, they dismiss it. They say, oh, it's someone with a loud muffler.
Dude, I slept on the couch last night. My neighbor's dog barked continuously through the night. And I was just thinking, why hasn't anybody killed this dog? Like, how can these neighbors be such assholes? And I have to admit, and I've had this inkling before in my life. It feels like this is for me. Like, this is the Truman Show. Somebody wants me to go outside and yell at this dog. I don't know why, but here's what would make sense is that somebody else would have done it by now, but they haven't. The dog just keeps barking. It's just somehow all on me.
Yes.
And it's like unbelievable.
Yes.
I know that feeling. Am I describing what you feel sometimes?
Yes. Only add in that you know for sure it's being directed towards you. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're not paranoid. You're not... None of these things.
Are you Irish?
Yes. I'm many different nationalities.
Kind of one of those European mutt guys?
Yeah.
I'm half Irish, and, the Irish, we have very low self-esteem and self-image. So, like, that's where I stop short. Is it can't be all for me because I'm just me and nothing's ever all for me.
I have friends that tell me that, and I explain to them, listen, I don't know why they picked me. It could be a number of reasons. Could be that I'm a whistleblower. I tried to report, our police department for murdering or allowing a murder to occur and then covering up the evidence. There's been many instances where they told me that I was going to be found in a field.
Who told you that?
Stamer.
Officer, Blue Island police officer.
Blue Island police
threatened
officer.
you with death.
Officer Eric Stamer, who received the Top Cop Award. He literally in the back of his squad car when I was falsely arrested on a made-up charge, which makes me think, how long has this been going on? Sure, it could have just been one of those deals where it was, police harassment, but looking back on the things that have happened in my life, there's a possibility that they targeted me for a long time. It might have started with my father's father, which would put us back in like the 60s and 70s when all these programs started, because he died at a young age of a heart attack. And then my father had a heck of a life, and there's accusations against him. Even my stepfather, as soon as this all started happening to me and I told him what was going on, and he made it very clear to me that if he had a brain tumor and that when he passed I was going to receive his property, all of a sudden he's locked up for child molestation charges.
Oh my God, that was a bomb. They didn't prosecute him.
No, they just locked him up.
But he beat the case?
No, he's still locked up.
Your stepfather's locked up for child molestation.
And they took his property and burned his house down.
Burned his house down?
They stole everything in his home. They were cooking methamphetamines in his home and then lit his house on fire after they were done with their drug production. So
that's fucking deep.
So the property that I was supposed to receive was no more.
Yeah. I follow. Wow, that's a lot.
That's part of the keep you broke, keep you, take away any opportunity that you have.
So if your kid got drafted by the Phillies in the first round and got a signing bonus, they would step in and fuck that up.
Yes. Right now, I can't even fill out an application online.
I wanted to kind of sit next to you at the computer because you tell me this all the time that things like you can't do things on the internet, right?
All kinds of stuff. I can't sign a petition if my life depended on it. If they do it right now and allow it to go through, I'd be very, very surprised. Make me look like a fool. But yeah,
at least you still get into YouTube.
It just connected.
Okay, so you're on Facebook.
Yep, and it just connected. Let me figure out where a petition is. Oh, there we go.
Okay, you're clicking on a petition online on a Facebook.
They'll probably actually let me fill this one out because that's to end gun violence. That's part of their agenda, which is to get everyone's guns away so that we can't defend ourselves.
That's impossible, by the way. That's a lofty goal.
You know that they've actually shut down all the lead factories for producing ammo?
I think there's too many out there already, though. That's just how I feel.
But there's no more in the United States.
I feel like there's a lot in the United States. Because, like, every dude I know who has one gun, he has 28 guns. But like, nobody just has one gun, right? You feel me?
Yeah, their angle is...
People stockpile.
Their angle is to limit the ammo. If they can't get our guns from us, they just limit our ammo. What are you gonna fire?
I'll knife a motherfucker.
You can keep your gun, but you don't have nothing to fire.
Well, what's that guy got going on?
Oh, that's a woman. She uses the face stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That picture you sent me of the fellow the other day, he had a helmet on.
Oh yeah, that's my buddy Robert. He uses magnets. This guy right here.
Does he ever take that thing off?
Yeah, he only uses it at home. But it's a reverse polarity helmet.
So it's the opposite of a magnet?
Well, he takes two magnets, he rivets it to the helmet, and he spaces them in just a manner that it pushes any kind of energy away. So the energy from the magnets actually protect him. He has V2K. So he wears this helmet at night to sleep so they can't harass him while he's sleeping so he can get decent sleep. And he wears it at night and it stops the voices from going into his head. Imagine that. You put one of these helmets on and they're telling you need this medication, but the helmet works.
I'd lose my shit. I would never stop telling people.
But this is what I'm saying. Is that not enough evidence right there alone to say that something's being directed towards you if you can put this helmet on, but medication doesn't work?
It's only enough for him is the problem, because we can never know what he actually feels. Like, that's what this always keeps coming back to, is like the guy whose video you sent me, we can never know if he means it or if he just has a beef with SIS and wants to bring him under the bus. We can never know that.
Right.
All we can do is gather evidence.
Well, as far as
There he is.
Yeah, as far as that story goes,
that motherfucker's wearing a helmet.
Yeah, and it's got the magnets and everything.
And it's like it's
see that fucking
decorative
around?
though. It's decorative. It looks like He-Man.
Did you just see that? How it was going from Facebook back to Messenger?
Oh, that's just the fucking tablet, man.
No, it doesn't do that.
You think it's listening and watching us?
Oh, I guarantee it.
You got a pretty older tablet too. You got the camera covered?
Yes. Both sides.
Let them have those dick pics. That's what I say.
You see these two right here?
Those are magnets?
For visuals. They can actually put, literally, it would look like a movie. They can create a vision. Literally. A vision.
And you can't differentiate that vision from your own endogenous thoughts?
No. You would actually, if it was someone that's highly religious, they would actually believe that they saw whatever they saw. So they could have an angel come down out of the sky and, you're talking to an angel. They could create that.
I heard there's a lot of PhDs who are TI.
Yes, because they go against them. So they target them.
Who is there has to be a most famous, somebody who people know their name and they talk about being a targeted individual.
Well, there's lots of people. I mean, there's lots of people. There's former NSA workers. Like I'm friends with a woman named Karen Melton Stewart. Right now, she worked for the NSA for 28 years. She was involved in she was a intelligence analyst. So whenever the Gulf War occurred, she had picked up some information that they had jammers. Okay, so
signal jammers.
So when we used our rockets initially on in the initial strikes, they were going to use these jammers and send the missiles off to other places. In the process, she saved over 2,000 people's lives. Now, when she came up for, a promotion or for, being rewarded for her services, another woman who was sleeping around with people in the office, she evidently blackmailed or she just slept her way to it. They overlooked her, and her name was not even on the list of people that was getting recognition for this. And it was her and her alone, and not all these other people. Not so much her alone, but not all these other people were, other people, they got recognition for it. But she was the one who made this happen, where she saved all these lives.
Right.
So when she brought this to the attention of people higher up in the chain, they told her to be quiet, and then all of a sudden they started doing psych evaluations on her. They started discrediting her. They did everything possible to try and make her look a fool, which is part of the smear campaign. Next thing you know, she got laid off or let go, and they tried to take her pension away from her. She was like 2, 3, maybe 4 years away from retirement. And she was supposed to retire with full benefits, everything, tip top, anything you could think that you're getting from the government.
Right.
She was supposed to retire with that. Well, even though they let her go early, she was still supposed to receive a certain portion of it. They tried to take that away from her. So now she's only receiving half or partial of what the lower level of it is.
And they want a reaction from her? They want her to flip out?
Well, they're attacking her with microwave radiation. They're hitting her with sonic.
Because she wanted recognition?
Yes.
That was the crime?
Because she had reported that other people were sleeping with this woman inside of the office, and she had gotten the credit for her, so she reported it.
Isn't it wild how everything ends up back at sex?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all this shit that we're talking about now is so futuristic and high-tech, but it all came back to somebody wanted to fuck somebody else, and that's where it went haywire.
The pedophiles and all this, these are the people that are the ones that run this technology. The UN, and I don't care what they want to say about me or if they come after me. I don't care. The UN is number one, the biggest pedophile ring pushers and prostitute and slave trade, human traffickers in the world. They're supposed to protect us. And they're using it as a front to commit all these crimes. I mean, you can look on the internet. There's all kinds of people that have stories. I mean, there's people that they're in meetings. There's a specific story. I'd like to get back to Karen here though, in a minute. But there's a specific story that they wanted to make someone like some kind of attorney general or some kind of big position.
Okay.
And when they were in this meeting, the guy's daughter walks in, and I do believe he said it was one of the Kennedys or one of the Rockefellers, maybe one of the Rockefellers.
So that's who's sitting in on the meeting, and then his daughter comes in.
His daughter comes in, and they make a comment about they'd like to do something sexually to her.
The daughter's a child?
And she's a child.
Okay, not a grown-up. Daughter.
Child.
Okay.
And he states to him, "That's my daughter." And they're like, "So what?"
And he was out.
Yeah, whistleblower.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Yeah, he didn't take the position. He I imagine he was intimidated, and he just backed away as best he could.
What the fuck's behind that? Is it that you have to do something heinous with these other people so
Yes.
that we all can hold each other to
Yes.
the most highest accountability?
Yes.
Which is
so
that's
that
that's the theory behind like all people who are in the rap game
Yes.
were undercover gay.
Yeah.
Or had to do gay stuff because once we have that secret on you,
Yes.
it's the ultimate thing that can break you, so we
Yes.
know you'll always be loyal.
Everyone's blackmailing everyone. All the people in the top positions in the world are blackmailing each other. They all have evidence against each other. That's the number one thing that they do.
That I get. What I just don't get the part where it gets to child sex. You know what I mean?
Because
That's so heinous.
This comes to Satanism. These people that run the world, they're Satanists. They believe in all these radical ideas, and I mean, you'd have to delve in and look into it, but the stuff that people are talking about Pizzagate and all these kinds of things, they're real. They're real. They really happen. I just saw an article on Robert Downey Jr., and he was coming out. We got Corey Feldman coming out. We got all these people that are coming out about these pedophile rings, and the people that are at the top, these people are sadists. You see the stories about CERN. They're trying to open up portals and all this. CERN. It's a mass particle collider. It goes
like
through
the Hadron.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Oh shit. Your boy knows a little
Yes.
bit about something.
Did you know that the larger one, and they're building a bigger one even.
I heard they're building that gigantic
Yes, but there's one right now that they've had around for some years, and it goes through Switzerland and multiple other countries. It's so big, it goes through countries.
Right, they use it to smash atoms into each
Yes,
other. Right.
yes.
Yeah,
That's where they tried to create the God particle and all these
Yes.
different things. People claim, you'll see all these different things. They're trying to open portals. They're trying to do this, that. I mean, the things that they're doing that they admit, I mean, it's not too far off from the things that people are accusing them from, of doing.
That's always a good instinct. Is whatever I'm being shown is somebody's toe sticking under a curtain,
Yes.
but there's a whole entire person behind that curtain.
Yes.
And what's that about?
Yes. It's the same thing. See, this is the thing. They show us things even through film. There's all kinds of movies. They show us.
Is it a war? Are there some people making movies to counter that? Or is the industry locked down across the board? It's all subversive that way.
At this day and age, it's locked down.
Because you can do DIY now. Like, there's a lot of independent films.
They silence those people, for the most part. They silence them. 20, 30 years ago, someone who was really famous for doing this was John Carpenter.
The horror movie John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. He would show people he was not with their agenda. They made a movie called They Live.
Mm-hmm.
And in that movie, he gives you all the signals. He gives you all the signs of what they're trying to do. There's hidden messages all throughout the movie where he takes the glasses off and then he sees people for what they really are. He puts them back on. And then he's reading the signs. They want to enslave you. They want to do this. That's the world we live in.
That's the Roddy Piper movie, right?
Yes.
Everybody has to rewatch They Live.
And he got killed for that. Because when Rowdy Piper spoke on it and said that it's an actual real reflection of real events, things that are going on in the world, they murdered him.
So that's a super subversive flick.
Yes.
Wow.
Back to the Future. I seen something just the other day when he's in the town square and he hits the clock tower, and there's all different references throughout the movie. When he hits the clock tower, it says 9/11 and fire. The fire that's left on the street.
That's terrific.
Says 9/11.
That's terrific.
And off to the side, there's a pyramid with the all-seeing eye.
Fuck me.
There's a newspaper where it shows the date. It talks about the Twin Towers. This was 20, 30 years before it ever happened. They were planning this for a long time.
So you have to watch these movies on a whole different level.
You have to be aware of it, and then once you see it, you're like, there's no denying it.
All right, so I derailed you. You wanted to finish up with Karen.
Karen Stewart. Well, she did everything that a good American would do. And they took her pension away from her, for the most part. They took it. Right now, she's fighting 2 cases in court. Some man, about our age, in our 30s, in their 30s, came to her home, rang her doorbell, got her outside of her house. I think she stepped outside her house to speak to him, or somehow or another the incident, it evolved.
There's a confrontation somehow.
He attacked her, punched her in the face. She's a 62-year-old woman.
Fuck you. Is she local or?
She lives on the East Coast.
Okay, so that's documented. She got punched in the face by some fuck for some reason.
He shows up at her house. He attacks her. She calls the police. Police show up. They say that she attacks him. They claim that she's mentally unstable. Just randomly, some police officer, no PhD, no background in psychology, nothing, claims she's unstable. They take her to the police station. They do a psychiatric evaluation on her. She passes it with flying colors. They say absolutely she's of sound mind.
It's a big jam up.
It's a big jam up. And when that didn't go through, then they had her go to another psychiatric person, same thing.
Here's the part of the interview where Ian has to go make a sandwich for his son, so we took a little break. Don't forget that you can find me and all my stuff not on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram. On Twitter at FCSS_pod, at FCSS_pod, that's me. And on Instagram at, I don't remember, just download. Just look up Jake Blaney on Instagram, I guess. What is my Instagram handle? Southside Podcast, maybe? You'll find me. All right, back to the interview.
So, like I was saying, you see, they hit the fucking. I don't know where that came from, but
Your son walked in and broke up that train of thought, but I didn't see anything.
Did you hear it?
No.
Did you hear the beeping?
No, yes, but that didn't raise my antenna.
But it raises mine. That's the way that they signaled to me and tell me, shut the fuck up. You're talking about something that you shouldn't be talking about. These are things.
Ain't it low battery or something else?
No.
I'm gonna try to explain some of this away.
There's nothing over there. That was coming off of a diabetic machine.
Like a tester?
Yes.
A tester?
Yes. That's sealed and zipped up, sitting there. They do it.
I go make your sandwich, but I don't want to interrupt the family flow.
Well, let me finish real quick about Karen, since they don't want me to talk about Karen. Karen is a great American. They pulled all this crap on her with, psychiatric and all this. Now they've got her in court, and they're saying that she assaulted this guy that assaulted her. Now you heard that, right?
No, I just heard your son walking.
I
swear to God.
Oh, dude.
I swear to God, I didn't hear anything.
You're going to have to sit in this chair when we're doing this. You're going to notice it. They just did it again. They're like, shut up.
Did you hear it? Okay. 2-1. Majority rules.
Hey, that's fine. Trust me.
Hey, language is an agreement.
I am not hearing things like in that sense like other people.
Oh, no. I don't think you're hearing something from inside your head. I just think that if that's making a noise, I'm going to try to find an earthly reason for it.
It's the thermostat. That's it. I mean, that's the thing. These are things that can be explained away. That's the whole point of it. To do this...
I go make your sandwich. I feel like I'm holding up his dinner.
To do it as covertly as possible so that they can do this stuff where you realize it's happening, but everyone around you, they don't see it. They try and keep it as normal as possible. It's really... I'm telling you.
All right, no, my bad. I just didn't hear nothing. That's all right.
It's the perfect crime. I'm telling you, like they've thought this out. The Stasi's, they did this from the 50s up until 1989 when the wall fell, Berlin Wall. The Stasi's are an actual known group, and when they broke apart, our CIA had one of the Stasi's come here and teach this to the CIA. So everything, this goes back 70 years that this program has been developed, and, if you want to talk about the technology, it goes back to 1938.
Where are you? Are you in the kitchen or are you in here?
Hey, come get your food. As far as people that they target, they don't really have boundaries. They even target their own. Freemasons target Freemasons. Basically, anyone that they come into contact with that they pose as a threat or they want to go after, they just go after them. As far as people they recruit, they
When you say recruit, now you're talking about for the other side of it.
For being gang stalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking at people that have mental problems most of the time.
Okay, so I had a follow-up. Is there anybody representing, I'm using air quotes, my vocabulary is not that big, the hood? I hope everyone understands what I'm talking about. Is there anybody in the hood talking about this? Is this conversation being had in that space?
I would say secretly, yes, by gangbangers. Actual gang members. They get gang members to do this stuff. They give them the technology. They can install these into people's phones. It's literally the size of a grain of salt. It's a little crystal. And you can have an app that you download, literally an app, and you just point your phone at someone and you push the button and you're microwaving them, or you're doing whatever, the app is designed to do. I'm sure there's different things, but you can actually do this from your phone. They give these weapons to, low level street gangs, what we would consider Chicago street gangs, whatever city street gangs. They give this stuff to everyone. You got your lodges, you got your community.
Elks Lodge.
Oh yeah.
Rotary Club, those things.
VFW. Yeah. Yes, all of them. All of them. You got your neighborhood watches. Department of Justice has something called COPS, which is community policing.
Snitches. Just high-powered, really, for some reason, want to be snitches hard.
Yes.
That I'm simpatico with you on. There's definitely people who they get off on watching their neighbors and reporting everything to whatever authority they can. And
they lie to a lot of them, and they tell them, that you're this or you're that. Like I said, number one thing they tell people, because most people, 99% of people are highly offended, and they get aggressive. They get aggressive when it comes to it. Child molestation. They'll go around telling people you're a child molester, or you're a drug dealer, or you're an abuser, or whatever it takes for them to get them to go after you. Say you're an activist, say you're part of Black Lives Matter. They'll say that you're a racist. Whatever the counter is to whatever you're about, they'll use that. That's on the people that are just, they present it to them as if they're doing something good for the community. And they don't realize that they're actually committing a crime for criminals. So they lie to them and they pay them. And, the ones that they can't get to do it, then they go other means. They'll say you got a brother that's selling drugs. They'll come to you and say, oh, well, we know your brother's selling drugs, and if you don't do this for us, we're going to lock him up. Or they'll do it to the person themselves, or whatever the case is. They'll find something to blackmail them. And then they force them, to commit these crimes. And most people, they're willing to hurt other people to save themselves. So that's how they build up the people around you. They move your neighbors out. They literally will buy them out. Just like the old saying, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. They'll buy your neighbors out. So
what you're saying is the buyout is legit. It looks legit. It's a legit business deal. It's
yes.
just the motives
yes.
are clandestine.
Yes.
Okay.
They'll move the person out. They don't care about the money because they own the Federal Reserve. They own everything. You name it, they own it. A sonic weapon or a microwave weapon, whatever they decide. There's so many different, they're called DEW weapons, directed energy weapons. They'll set up whatever, like you've seen. You see the people sitting outside.
I'm not joking, man. There's always somebody around the corner in a car.
Yes.
And it's got to be 12 for 12. I started noticing it like 12 times back.
Yes.
And tonight it occurred again as I was coming here.
Yep. So not only do they have people living all in houses around you, then they have people sitting there in vehicles watching you. They use vans. They use, whatever cars. Most of the time, crazy. Tinted windows.
That's crazy because if that's true, it means that like 2/3 of the traffic that we deal with are these people.
Mm-hmm.
If every one person who's targeted has a team that has to be mobile, then like I'm stuck on the Dan Ryan because of these fucks.
Yes.
Go on. All right.
The way that it went.
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany, coming out of World War II, there were the Stasis, and it was said that 1 out of 3 people were snitches or were perps. So, if you had 3 people living in your house, father, mother, child, 1 out of those 3 people were perping the other person.
Yeah, you've heard of this in other regimes too.
Yes.
You create a spy state.
Yes.
And everybody's telling on everybody else.
And that's what they are doing right now. In real time, current moment. They are doing this and they are infiltrating not just the U.S. They're doing this worldwide.
To what end?
The end of civilization, the end of society.
I'll throw one at you. The planet's overpopulated. They'd like to shave it by a third. Does that register at all?
They want to shave it by 95%.
You just blew my mind for like the third time. Keep 5%?
The Georgia Guidestones were put up years ago, and it is basically the structure that they want to leave behind, or what they want to create, I should say.
Georgia Guidestones.
Georgia Guidestones.
What's that?
It is a stone monument. I do believe it is in Georgia.
The country or the state?
The state.
Okay.
And it's in Georgia, and there was a guy named R.C. Christian, I want to say his name was, who paid for these monuments to be erected, and no one knows who this guy is. You know, people have been trying to figure out who he is for a long time, but on these stones, it says that there's going to be one world religion, there's going to be one world government, there's going to be one world language, there's only going to be 500 million people. There's all these rules, and
I was okay with the first three, actually. Just for the record, the first three didn't sound all that horrible to me.
well,
It was the fourth one where 9.5 out of 10 people have to go.
if you do the math, that's 15 out of 16 people.
Yeah, sure.
15 out of 16. They plan to exterminate. And they're doing it through different means. Through our water supply, through our food, through our air. This is one of the things they said. When you want to kill that many people, you can't just attack them all in one way, because they'll wake up and they'll realize what you're doing. So they attack us from many, many different ways, and therefore it's explained away. Oh, well, you got cancer, or you got this disease, or, you know.
It's interesting that now, though, the lifespan is longer than it's ever been in recorded history. That's kind of contradictory. Like, if this is all going on now, but people are actually living longer than they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and so on.
Well,
it's not working.
Well, we had gotten built up to that.
Right.
Because that's part of evolution.
Right.
Evolution.
Well, medicine, but like, that's a whole other side discussion. Is the advent of medicine's evolution also? Or is that like some fucking divine shit? Or is that genius? But I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not as simple as getting a piece of bark off a tree anymore. You can synthesize medicines that save lives, and instead of dying at 30, you live to 70.
Right.
Is that evolution? And I don't expect you to answer it. I'm being rhetorical.
Right.
But I mean, we have to acknowledge that there's been a big jump in the lifespan because of medicines.
But what it comes
That's the
down
spike.
to is they have created all these things for themselves. Sure, they wanted to advance medicine, but not for us. We were just the guinea pigs. So, now that they've gotten their medicines to the point where they're happy.
Do you think you've ever seen one?
What's that?
One of the 5%ers. Do you think if you came across one, you'd know it?
I'd say I'd probably run into them. I'd say everyone has run into one of the people.
I guess that was a dumb question statistically.
Yeah.
Statistically, you've had to have.
Yeah.
But the follow-up is, that question stands. Would you know it if you did? Yeah.
Maybe if you knew the person's background and who they were associated with. Now, for instance, we'll talk presidents of corporations. People like that. Those people are possibly in the 5 percentile. But when it comes to normal average people like us, you know, say we have 10, 12,000 people in our neighborhood, in our city.
And the median income here in Blue Island, Illinois is $37,000. Which is that's at the bottom part.
You're probably looking at like less than a 0.5% of the people that are going to survive through this in our city. And those people would be the city officials that went along with the agenda.
What about IQ?
That's not one of the things they're trying to keep around. The deal is they don't want anyone smarter than them. It's on record that I'm not off the top of my head, I can't think of the name, but everyone, it's one of the things that goes around Facebook too a lot. He says that I don't want to build a nation of thinkers. I want to build a nation of workers. So they're dumbing down our schools. They're doing all these things on purpose. Our water is highly fluoridated.
Yeah.
This is what was used in the German Nazi concentration camps back in World War II. These are all the same methods that they used. And the reason they use fluoride is because they claim not only does it make us sterile, but it keeps us docile.
But that can't be true. It can't be true.
It's true.
But, I mean, the anecdotal evidence is every Mexican I grew up with who has 5 brothers and had 3 kids and isn't docile.
They weren't drinking enough of the water.
So that's the trick. See, like, this is the great thing about the podcast. We arrive at answers and solutions for life.
Yes.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
You can do stuff to prevent shit.
Yes.
Don't drink the fucking water.
Even if you get distilled water,
Yeah.
distilled water is supposedly some of the cleanest water you can get. But it too goes bad if it's sitting in a plastic bottle, and there's a lot of impurities in the distilled water. But that's as good as it gets. You know, you'd want to take the distilled water and actually boil that off.
If you open up a coffee cafe, high end, you get distilled water.
Yes.
And then you get softeners and shit for it.
Yes. You want to boil it off, and you want to.
But the impurities, you need a certain amount of kind of like impure flora in your body, like all
the
some
alkalines?
of your. Well, I mean, just some of your gut bacteria, things that live on our skin.
Yeah.
It's not all quote good for us, but it's a necessary part of us. If you look at the human body as an ecosystem itself, which it, in my opinion, most certainly is. It's a resonant conductor, but it's also this ecosystem of all these different types of cells coming together to make a body. We usually just think of it as the body. We don't think about our gut biome and all the different enzymes. Enzymes is the wrong word. All the different organisms and colonies that live inside of us.
Which are the symbiotic relationship that we need to keep our immune system strengthened. Without them, we would have a very, very weak immune system.
So there's the argument: don't boil the water, don't wash your freaking hands. You know, there's that argument.
I would say boil the water because those are actual toxins. When you got someone putting lithium into your water, that's not something that you want to let go.
Say that again.
Lithium.
In the water.
In the water. Yes. There are like, at the very least, there's like 400 and something different chemicals they are adding to our water.
400 added.
Additives, yes.
That they go to the trouble.
They go out of their way and they
400.
pour big bags of this powdered crap into our water supply. Yes. You can research it. It's truth.
Is there any... I'm trying to think of a source. I guess a lake is the only source, or a stream. A stream is the only source where you can get water free from this.
I would say it's contaminated too at this point with the chemtrails and all the chemicals that they're putting into our farmlands, the pesticides, all that drain. You know, it goes into the ground.
Yeah.
Runs off into our water
It's
aquifers.
groundwater.
Yeah. And then it just it comes into our lakes and
Evaporates, rains back down.
Yep. A mutual friend of ours, his father used to tell me that about going out in the farmland and fishing out of the ponds that were in the farm area, because I thought that's probably the best place to go fishing where you could eat the fish, and he would explain to me no, because the pesticides that they were spraying all of our food with, it seeps into the ground, goes into these small lakes, and these fish are just contaminated.
It's Monsanto fish.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Right, but that's funny because your tuition would be like farm, lake. Oh, farm to table. Like, I'll get some country catfish here.
Exactly.
That's what your tuition,
You would think so. As far as Monsanto goes, you can also research that Monsanto, we all know it's genetically modified.
Mm-hmm.
If you look it up, or if you research it, Monsanto just so happened to know that to make those plants resistant to the chemtrails and the crap that they're dumping in the air.
Yeah, so that they can sell that resistant strand to the American farmer, and now you're hoard into doing business with them forever because it's an endless cycle.
We're trapped by relying on them for a food source.
So Monsanto's created this problem which is this pesticide runoff, and then they've created a solution to the problem, which is the seed that resists it.
Yep.
And they profit off both.
Yep.
And he just walks away.
Yes, they have. They've done this on many different fronts, dealing with a lot of our food source, water, air,
That's
everything.
just advertising in general, too.
Yes.
Create the problem first, and then sell them the solution.
Order out of chaos.
Except you got to be evil, like, follow me if you can. It's one instinct to create a problem like, I'm going to make every woman in America think she needs this ringer mop. Joy Mangano. You know? Mm-hmm. I'm going to make every woman in America is going to feel inferior if she doesn't get this ringer mop with the purple handle, and you don't have to put it in a ringer, you just squeeze it sideways and you twirl it. And oh, look at that. The water comes out, and I don't have to bend over anymore. Okay, I feel pressured to get this mop. Fine. At the end of the day, I'm out $22. Okay.
Because of ego.
But it's another instinct altogether to take that mechanism and apply it to the food a person is going to put into their body.
Yes.
Right? Like when you cross a line there. You cross a line there when you decide, if this is what's going on, when you decide to poison people.
This is where our holidays come from. Christmas. It's all to get the consumer to buy. It's all the same theory.
Right, we're talking about the same exact mechanism.
On everything.
How do you make a person get up off their butt and go get the thing I would profit from them getting?
Yes.
And then you have to reverse engineer that problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's advertising.
Exactly.
Right, I'm saying you've crossed a line when you've decided to apply that to not make money, but to control human physiology.
Yes. Biological. Complete. Mind, body, and spirit.
I'm having a meltdown right now. My brain's going.
So that was part 1 of episode 50. We're just getting into it. At this point in the episode, I just started getting high, and Ian just sat down. I mean, the first 40 minutes of the episode, I think he was standing up across the room. So he finally sits down at some point, and it just gets deeper and deeper. Be on the lookout for that. I think part 2 of this will be out on Thursday. Yeah, we'll do it Thursday. So until then, thanks for coming through, and be good to each other and all that. Bye.